Hey guys, what's up? Caleb Downing here, and today we have this thing. It's like a conglomeration of an AR9 and an MP5 and kind of a SIG feel going on, all came together and had a baby. So let's talk about it. Alright, so first off, disclaimers. Companies that sent me stuff, companies that I bought these things from. New Frontier Armory. They sent me this G5 lower. This is their Gen 2 of like their C5 lower that I have bought before. But this is a G5 lower that they did send me. The Bear Creek Arsenal upper or bufferless upper receiver blowback thing. I bought this. They did not send that to me. I don't work with them at all. The stock configuration thing back here, this is actually an Airsoft stock thing. Bought that. The Optic, this is an Oak Plus from Zulisy. They sent me that. The suppressor on this guy, this is a HiTec Arms, I believe it's just called an SD suppressor, and I got a very steep discount on this. I did not pay full retail, so it wasn't necessarily given to me, but I was given a deal on it. This is the model, the TPM-SD. They make a short one too. The long one sounds really good. This configuration going on up here, this is from Broad River Tactical, and they did send me this. This is their Handguard and MP5-SD sleeve. The sleeve actually does work with MP5-SDs if you're in the market for those. They also sent the barrel that goes along with this, and this is an actual ported barrel, like an MP5-SD style ported barrel, and they did send that out, so I didn't pay for that, but we've worked with them before, and I don't think I've ever actually purchased anything from them. Probably should do that, but never have actually purchased anything from them, but they've sent us some things before, and so that is our disclaimers. Hopefully that's done properly and out of the way, and you guys can rake me over the coals for getting free stuff. Alright, so when we're talking SDs or MP5 SDs or stuff, there's some kind of misconceptions out there. Not really misconceptions. People throw that term around a lot. They'll pin and weld a suppressor to a barrel and put it under a handguard and call it an SD. And my understanding, and I don't speak German and I don't know how to look it up all that well. I guess my Google foo is not very strong. But from what I'm understanding, SD and MP5-SD, that really just means suppressed. That's my understanding of it. So technically, these people that go out there and just stick a suppressor under a handguard and call it an SD, technically they're correct, I think. Even though we all know exactly what we think of when we think of an SD. That's like it's a system, not just a barrel and a suppressor, but it's a system that dummies down supersonic rounds and it makes them subsonic. And you put a suppressor on it, which again is part of the system, and it quiets the whole thing down. At least that's what it's supposed to do. That's what comes to my mind whenever I'm thinking of an SD, right? Something that is an SD. And most of the time, that is done with pistol caliber carbines and stuff, not rifles, not 308, not 5.56. It's not done. As far as I'm aware of, that's not really been done yet, and I think it's for good reason. If you're doing that, there's a whole argument. You guys can go argue about that, why you would not have an AR-15-SD, like a true SD. I don't know. Y'all can argue that in the comments. There might be a purpose for that, but for this particular case, this is a 9mm that is true to form in SD, right? So that barrel, I don't know how well it showed up in there, but that barrel is ported, right, very close to the chamber. So when these rounds go off, right, these are 115 grain SMB ammo. When these things go off, the pressure builds, right, in the cartridge. After the primer goes off, pressure builds, starts pushing that projectile, starts accelerating that projectile down the barrel. Those pressures expand, and what usually happens is the pressures continue to expand and that bullet accelerates to its desired speed, and in a perfect system, the powder completely burns, and you reach optimum velocities of whatever that might be for that particular cartridge, for that particular round. On the SD system, those gases are still expanding, right? Those pressures are expanding and pushing, and the powder is still burning. When that bullet, that projectile passes the series, I can't remember if it's 24 or 30 something, there's a good handful of ports very close to the chamber. So that projectile, in theory, has not reached supersonic speeds. It's not broken the speed of sound, right? Which, depending on atmospherics, which is a really interesting thing, that's around, I've heard different things, but I put that around 1050. If it's 1050 and above, I'm going to generally hear a sonic crack up here. And the weather that we have up here and the atmospherics and all the science stuff, I'm generally going to hear a sonic crack at around 1050. Around. So what this is supposed to do is take these projectiles and dummy it down below that 150 feet per second. That's kind of the idea of what it's supposed to do. So to demonstrate this actually working, what I'm going to do, this is not the firearm we're looking at. This is my jailbroke Space Invader. So this is a 7-inch normal, like a PCC, right? I'm not going to suppress this guy, but I'm going to load it up. I'm just going to shoot a couple rounds of 115 grain ammo through my chrono, and I'll show you what those numbers are, just to show you what like a standard PCC is going to give you. Maybe you'll be able to see it, maybe you won't. I'll call out the numbers, but here we go. These are 115 grainers out of a regular PCC. There you go. 1287, 1253, and 1240, right? So that's standard. That's just your standard run-of-the-mill 115 grain, in my opinion, nice 115 grain. You're in the 1250s, all right? So let's see what happens whenever you run it on this SD system. That's 1151. It's 1143, 1099, 1121, 1117. So you're sitting at like 1120 or something like that. The point being, there's many things that go into this, and I know enough to get myself into a world of trouble. What you can hopefully see there is we had a drop in around 100 feet per second, right? If we were at 1250 and now we're at 1120, that's more than 100 feet per second in a drop of velocities. You're shooting the same ammo, right? This guy is suppressed, but it has that ported barrel. Now, if the purpose of this is to drop the projectile below that supersonic threshold, up here, that's not happening with how we have everything set up. It just doesn't work. I think after talking to a bunch of people, particularly the guys that make the barrel, Broad River Tactical, it really seems like a lot of atmospherics come into play. It's colder up here. Just the altitude's different, and when it gets different, the air's thinner, projectiles move faster. If I shot this down in lower 48, if I went down to Florida or Alabama where we've been before, the thickness of the air that you can cut with a knife, I'll bet you would drop this another, I don't want to put a number on it, but I know that the velocities would be different, right? So this, you can hopefully tell and see that this is doing something. This may not be super whisper quiet, but that is quieter, and the projectiles are slower than what they would have been coming out of a standard 7.5-inch barrel. Just shoot this guy off. Kind of some targets out there. Maybe you can see it. You can obviously hear that crack, right? Whenever I fire and you hear it echoing, that's the crack. A subsonic projectile would not sound that way. Right, subsonics just wouldn't do that. Hopefully you can hear that. All right, so for kicks and giggles, what would happen if I did put subsonic ammo in here? Let's try that theory out real quick. All right, so there's one more super in here, and then there's like 4 subsonics. So let's see how these guys sound. Here's a super, and then some subs. And then you can hear the crack from that last super. So you can tell there's a difference. When you actually have true subsonic speeds, there is no crack. You get the clickety clack of the action, and then that's basically it. And then whatever your projectile hits, it might smack something, you get a ting. You know, if you're shooting steel, it might do a whole bunch of other things, but it's not gonna get that supersonic crack. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is delete that supersonic crack. So even though this does knock those velocities down about 100 feet per second, atmospherics involved really do play a big role. Again, talking to Chris over there at Broad River Tactical, who makes these barrels, or has these barrels made, he's not getting the same numbers. And so if you do get these systems, because there's a couple other people that have been reviewing these things, and it can be confusing, right? To really see what, or to try to understand why somebody's getting certain speeds, you know, in a supersonic crack and other people aren't. Atmospherics, that's the biggest key of why these things have such a variance. All right, so we talked about different suppressor sizes. This is the HiTec Arms, what did I say it was? The TPM-SD. This is the longer boy. This is, I think, 12 inches. They have one that is stated at 8 inches. It measures actually at 9 inches. It looks substantially cooler. I will say that. It looks way cooler. Short stubby cans, in my opinion, look way cooler than longer cans. That looks freaking awesome. So let's load up some ammo in here. We'll put some 124s, and I'll show you some velocities of 124s and see if that makes any difference. All right, so 124s. This is some federal, this stuff right here, federal stuff. 124s. Flipping on the ice. Let's see what these guys get on the chrono. Real quick, we'll just shoot a couple through it. Again, probably won't be able to see it, but I'll call out the numbers. 1103, 1071, 1059, 1078. So this does, with 124s, which are supersonic, this does bring that, those velocities down even more. I'm assuming, because I'm no scientist, that has a lot to do with the heavier projectile. It is going to slow it down a little bit anyway. And just allowing the system to work a little bit better. So let's shoot this guy off a little bit, see how he sounds. You guys don't want to watch my back when I'm shooting. That's kind of weird. So 124s definitely have a little bit better sound to it. That sounds like an oxymoron. They definitely have a little bit of a better sound, but they do. You can tell a little bit that the system is working better, right? When you can distinguish a little bit, then I'm sure if you put it on numbers, you'd be able to hear, you know, if you put it on decibels, you'd be able to hear a difference. All right, guys, so there you go. I'm not gonna shoot this outro again. That was a quick little look at this guy. I didn't know exactly how I wanted to shoot this video. I just wanted to show off some of these pieces and parts. Huge thanks to New Frontier Armor for sending out this lower. Huge thanks to Broad River Tactical for entrusting me with this system, right, to show it off a little bit and let you guys know about it. I think it's pretty cool. They make a different system that works significantly better. It's their radio delayed system. It works a lot better, and I'm fixing to get ready to shoot that video. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for that, because that'll be coming up here before too long. But huge thanks to them for sending this thing out, and HiTec Arms for giving me a good deal on these suppressors so that I can get them, test them, shoot them, show you guys what they actually sound like. Real quick note on them, if you're gonna get one, get the longer one. Even though the short guy, he looks sexy, he's super cool, the longer one sounds noticeably quieter, in my opinion. My experience, put it that way. Anyway, guys, let me know what you want to see more of this, or if you like to see more Frankenstein builds, or do Frankenstein builds just completely drive you nuts? I don't know. Let me know. Y'all be good to be safe. Appreciate you guys, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next video. See ya.